Okay, part two. I ran out of video. All right, so I'm on the I'm on the third floor of Chestnutwood here in Andalusia, in the Ben Salem Township, Pennsylvania. Showing you these rooms that are in the third floor. We can call it the attic if you want, but it's a functional third floor. I mean, there's nothing that's unfinished here. This all the space. This actually takes us up to the storage. On the other side of that, there's a set of stairs that takes us up to the rooftop where you can open a scuttle and actually have observation there. It's pretty neat. All right, we got another room here. All right, every room in here is just amazing. I mean, oh, here we go. I won't blind anybody here. Yeah, it's just an amazing house. Just so many possibilities. Such history. Just rich in history. This whole area. We're so many chimneys. I think that's one of the cottages. On this property, there's 6 rental units. 4 of them are in the carriage house. There's a cottage separate from the carriage house. And then there's a rancher that sits on the front of the property that overlooks the river. And together, those properties bring in a tremendous amount of revenue. So I'm going to get that door shut. We'll walk downstairs, get a live view of the house before we put it in the MLS and before we get it all photographed and droned with the drone photographer. So heading back down this grand staircase. What a place for a wedding or bed and breakfast or a retreat or just a country house that you can spend time with a large family that you may have. I'm going to move over here. In the second foyer has an entry to the side, little porch. Not much of a use for this. That's why it's not overstated, but it brings plenty of light in. All right, we walk down here. So as I find the light, maybe this is the light. Let's check. That is the light. Here we go. So we walk down here. This modification to the back of the staircase was done, but this opening was done sometime the current owner's ownership to open up the basement for additional storage and recreation. This is the seasonal room. They put their wallpaper and their Christmas wrap and their Christmas decorations and holiday decorations in there. And then we go in here. We have a real pleasant, nice pleasant billiard room, little family room. And then we go around the corner here. Whoops. And we go into a really, really awesome space. I don't have my light on my camera, but I can show you in this space here. The basement is just amazing, this space. Look at these arches. Look at these brick. It's all stone and brick, but look at the brick arches. So, you know, imagine when this house was built, most of the cooking was probably done down in this lower level in one of the chambers. You know, most of the care for the house, most of the shops that they would have needed, anything that they would have done would have been done down here. There's evidence of a stove at one point that may have been here for the cooking. This is under the, I believe this is under the one library. I believe. No, this is. Who knows? Who knows? We'll find out. Look at this mortise and tenon joint there. Isn't that amazing? Look at that joint. So they leveled that big beam there, the double beam. They let it into here, and then they mortised it, and they used tenons. That's pretty wild. Look at these. These are full nominal size. This is an amazing. Like, imagine they built this house without a power tool, hand saws, chisels. You know, you can imagine the wage for a good carpenter wasn't a whole lot, not compared to today, and they did it relatively fast. Every floor joist is let into or mortised into a rim joist or a girder, or you know, a header, whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure what they would have called it back then. Would have called it a lot of work. That's what I would have called it. Just an amazing amount of little nifty spots. You could do a cigar bar down here, a wine cellar. Let's go over here. This boiler, by the way, the original boiler, a lot of history. Google American radiator and standard and get the history. They date all the way back into the late late half of the 19th century, 18 and change. So this would have been, at the time, this would have been quite the marvel to have your house heated with a boiler, even if it was a retrofit in the late 1800s. So we got a room here, another little chamber. That's kind of cool, huh? That would be a great little place to stack some vintage bottles. More room here. Going back into, there's so many chambers down here. So we're going to go back here. This is really neat. So this sink, this sink is 1, 2, 3, 4 sinks, 4 wash tubs. That's where I would keep my bar of lye soap. And this is where I would have, it's built-in washboard. Really cool. Really cool. This is, by the way, when I say cool, I also want to tell you, it's 90-something degrees out, and it's probably 72 degrees down here, maybe 75. The walls are at least too thick, at least, let's say 18 to 24 inches thick. We got one of these things, and I say one of these things because I have no idea what it is. It's some kind of pump. Apparently, it's very rare. There's not a whole lot of them, and it's quite the piece. If you buy this house, we'll throw that in, no extra charge. What else do we have here? We have a well. We have some updated systems. We have a treatment system for the well, so the water's drinkable. I've drank it here, but I'm still here to talk about it, so that's a good thing. Another chamber. Another chamber, just an amazing amount of chambers. Beyond that door is the space underneath of the veranda, which is really a cool space. So I'm going to shut these lights out now. I'm going to get back up to the first floor, and then I want to share with you. I'll make a part 3 with the grounds of the property, if I don't trip up these steps. All right. So here we go. I'm going to go here. Got my professional photographer, Mr. Steve Edwards, the best photographer in South Jersey and Pennsylvania. All right, so we're going to do a number 3. So we're going to shoot this down, and I'll catch up to number 3.